Canelo Alvarez is reportedly negotiating with Sergey Derevyanchenko in order to keep the IBF belt. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. We're going to jump right into this very interesting news. I made a video about it. So the reports are that Canelo is in touch with Sergey Derevyanchenko's team. Sergey Derevyanchenko is the IBF mandatory. Canelo just won the IBF mandatory, or the IBF belt, fighting Danny Jacobs last May. That was his last fight. And the IBF ordered him to fight Sergey Derevyanchenko, a guy that Jacobs fought. And he's already back up for a mandatory, apparently. Now, Canelo was supposed to fight in September on the quote-unquote Mexican dates, but that fell apart, and they announced that they couldn't find a quality opponent in time. They looked at Kovalev, but it just took too long. It took too long. Kovalev ended up fighting his mandatory, Anthony Yard, or he's going to fight. He hasn't fought him yet, right? And it left Kovalev without a quality dance partner that they can all agree with. So it's looking crazy at Dazn. Speaking of Dazn, a writer and a worker for Dazn, Chris Mannix, he had a very interesting tweet that I want to talk about it regarding this Kovalev fallout and Canelo searching for a new opponent as it relates to Dazn. Chris Mannix said on his verified account, "Here's a reality about Canelo's latest negotiations with Sergey Derevyanchenko." So he works for Dazn. He's basically confirming that there are negotiations being had. Canelo is going to need to make a firm commitment on a third fight with Gennady Golovkin for Dazn to approve it. That message has been relayed to Golden Boy strongly. So this, lends credence to what I've said. There is discussions being had, and Golden Boy, Canelo, what they want to do versus what Dazn is kind of requiring or needing them to do to cash in on these major paychecks, are they're not seeing eye to eye. Basically, it doesn't seem like they're on the same wavelength. He works for Dazn, and he's saying this: Canelo's going to need to make a firm commitment on a third fight with Gennady Golovkin for Dazn to approve it. So for whatever reason, Dazn seems like they're shoving the Triple G fight down Canelo's throat, and he doesn't want to fight them. So they're saying, man, Derevyanchenko, all right, that's the last dude, and then we need you to fight Triple G. So to me, it's looking crazy at Dazn, because it looks like they're in such a desperate position that they're demanding their biggest star to do something he don't want to do. And in my opinion, I don't think the Canelo Triple G trilogy fight is as big as they are thinking. But I think the reason they're thinking it is because the groundwork has already been done for that fight, because they already have two fights that are somewhat controversial to some people. I didn't really see a controversy in the rematch, but to some people it's controversial, And with that being said, the groundwork has been done. HBO already promoted the first two fights. We already had 24 rounds of that particular fight. So they think, HBO boxing on pay-per-view were able to get a million pay-per-view buys both times out with Canelo and Triple G. So we can at least get a fraction of that at a cheaper price, or maybe even more than 1 million buys. And I think that's ultimately Dazn's goal. So it's looking crazy, because Canelo, I don't think he really wants to fight Gennady Golovkin. I don't think he's scared or nothing. He already fought him. But I think he wants to starve Golovkin out. That's what I truly believe. And Dazn is like pressuring him to fight. They're like, nah, we're not approving Jaime Munguia. And according to Chris Mannix, who works with Dazn, they're basically saying, we need a commitment. Like, if you get past Derevyanchenko, you got to fight Triple G. That's it. So that's what it sounds like the conversation is. So Canelo's being, unruly, or has his own agenda, his own plan of what he wants to do, and his own decision-making process. And Dazn is like, nah, we need a hit. We need something big. So it looks like they're at odds, to be honest, in terms of what the goal is. And all in all, this is all a bad look to me, because Canelo became the franchise champion to not fight Charlo. That wasn't a good look. And if you think the WBC acted without knowledge, without Golden Boy's knowledge, without Canelo after it happened coming out and saying, hey, that's bullshit, I wanted to fight Charlo, then you're sadly mistaken. Again, if the WBC, why would they just mix things up like that? If Canelo really wanted to fight Charlo, why would they create this franchise title? You know, or if Canelo was even interested in really fighting Demetrius Andrade, then he would easily have a justification to not fight his mandatory in Jermall Charlo through the WBC, because he could justify it by saying, hey, I'm fighting Demetrius Andrade at 160 for the last belt, right? So it's apparent that Canelo or his team or Golden Boy, whoever the fuck, they had no interest in fighting Jermall Charlo or Demetrius Andrade next, period. Because again, if they wanted to fight Andrade, they could clearly they would have a reason to not fight Charlo next. So they wouldn't even have to have created this franchise title. Or if they were really trying to fight Charlo, then they wouldn't have to create this franchise title. We probably would have heard Canelo speak out. He's already spoke out in the past about the WBC, so we would probably hear him speak out and say, hey, I'm not in agreement with this. I want to be respected as a true champion that fought the best and revered and remembered as such, and I want to fight Charlo. I don't know why they did this. So obviously he hasn't said anything, because him and his team are full aware before it happened what the deal was. And the other thing is this. The other point is this. I feel like the WBC, with what Canelo did the first time, where he wasn't fucking with him and he stopped like accepting their belts and stuff, they wouldn't do some decision like this to potentially piss Canelo off, who's a moneymaker in the sport of boxing, when he already had bad blood with them for 2 years or whatever it was, and they just recently buried the hatchet. So I know for a fact that Golden Boy and Team Canelo knew about this franchise title beforehand, because again, why they're like walking on eggshells. Why would they want Canelo to be mad at them again by doing something like that makes him look a certain way, and he wasn't okay with it? So to me, I already know that they must have been okay with this, because again, they still to this day, I ain't seen Oscar De La Hoya, Robert Diaz, Eric Gomez, Canelo, Chepo, Eddie Reynoso. I ain't seen none of them come out and say we want to fight Charlo and we don't agree to this franchise belt stuff. So that tells me what I need to know. And it's looking crazy with Dazn too. You know, they want a big fight and Canelo wants to do his own thing. So it looks like they're at odds. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It's looking like they're probably starting to regret how much money they gave him up front without getting an actual commitment. Well, not necessarily up front, but how much money they offered him without putting Golovkin in the contract. Because clearly that's what they wanted. They wanted Triple G versus Canelo. They feel it's already been built up, or they feel it'll get him out of debt, whatever the reason they really want this fight. And Canelo's stubborn. You know, he feels like, I'm the A side, I'm not going to be dictated to. He don't want to be dictated to. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, you know, especially since Dazn said that they'll only approve Kovalev or Triple G. You know, so if he fights Derevyanchenko, what does that mean? Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.